Measure Up blog, I recently wrote an article about performance gaps. Like, what are they when it comes to KPIs, that is. So basically what they are is the difference between your current level of performance and the targeted level of performance for a particular KPI or performance measure. They have two particular qualities, performance gaps, at least in my world. One is that they're quantitative. They actually are a number. They're a difference between a current level and a future level of performance. And the second thing is there's usually a time gap associated with them, and that's acknowledging that any kind of improvement we want to make takes time. They don't happen overnight. What I didn't talk about in that article was the emotive side of performance gaps. Because a performance gap really is a deficit in performance. It's where you just don't think something's good enough. I don't think my cornering on a motorcycle is good enough. Like, I have fantasy. Now, maybe they're MotoGP fantasies, I don't know, but I think it would be so much fun if I could go through corners faster than I do. Unfortunately, that is a performance gap that I have an emotive attachment to, and in a worst case, probably a feeling of self-worth attached to that. And that's not healthy, and that's not safe. When we have our self-worth, our ego, or any kind of self-preservation kind of thing attached to a performance gap, it changes how we respond to that performance gap, what meaning we give to it, how we decide we're going to try and close it. And that's when we hear about all those things like gaming and dysfunctional behavior, taking shortcuts, sabotaging other areas of performance for the sake of the one performance gap. What we need when we want to close a performance gap properly, without all the unintended consequences, is creativity and resourcefulness. And if our self-worth or ego is feeling threatened, then we just can't be creative. We can't feel resourceful. So for any KPI to be successful at improving performance, we not only need to understand its performance gap, but we also need to reframe the way we feel about it. Detach our self-worth and ego from it, and focus on the more constructive things that will help us achieve or close that gap and achieve the target that we have for improvement. When it comes to cornering on a motorcycle, the last thing I should be thinking about is how fast I'm going through the corner. But if I want to improve the smoothness and safety I have in going through a corner, and with going faster as just a consequence of those two things, then I probably need my attention on other KPIs. Now, by the way, I don't measure any of this. This is just an example. But if I measured my corner entry speed, if I measured the point at which I turn into the corner, if I measured how much light braking I did to put a bit more force on the front wheel and therefore a bit more traction on the front, if I thought, about tracking my vision and how good that is through the corner, and my body position, that would be much more constructive things to focus on than the performance gap in how fast I actually go through the corner and how fast I would like to go through the corner. So I guess one of the anecdotes I'm suggesting to having a creative and resourceful approach to closing performance gaps is to not really focus on a single performance measure, rather to have a system of measures that give us a story about a whole performance area or domain that we do want to improve, and to navigate and use that story to help us decide what we should give our attention to, what actions we should take that will ultimately lead to that performance gap closing without the unintended consequences. I am curious though, has this ever been an issue for you? I mean, in your organisation, do you find that people do attach their egos or self-worth to performance gaps in KPIs? And if they do, what do you reckon are some good ways to start reframing that and shifting the attention onto more constructive things that help us be more creative and resourceful?